Good morning and welcome to the Modax presentation on Dynamics 365 Business Central. I'm Brian Roberts with Modax Consulting, and we're going to be taking a look at Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Business Central is an ERP software as part of the Microsoft Dynamics suite and includes modules for all of the standard ERP functions: finance, sales, purchasing, manufacturing, planning, and so on. In today's session, we're going to be taking a first look at the software. I'm not going to try and cover over those areas. What I'm going to do is give you sort of an overview for the software, show you a couple of the screens, show you how a couple of transactions would be entered in real life, just to give you sort of that initial feeling, that first look with it. So what we're looking at here is the Business Central software. This will be a live demo. And I happen to be running this in the Edge browser at the moment, but this certainly is supported in any browser you want. It also runs on tablets, phones, both Android and iPad and so on. So basically anywhere you are, anywhere you're connected to the environment, this is a cloud application, you can have access to this software. I'm just going to go full screen for the demo just so it's a bit easier for you to see. Business Central's, when you first open it, what you're looking at here is a role center. There's several role centers designed for different people, different jobs within your business. In this case, we happen to be coming in as a business manager role center. And the initial screens are giving you things that would be of interest to a business manager in your company: sales, total dollars, open activity, various things like that. Just so you can see a comparison, we're going to switch role centers to somebody who would be involved more in the day-to-day sales order processing kind of thing. Of course, there is security controlling who can do what in this demo environment. There's no security turned on. So this role center has different information. Instead of the information about invoices and dollars, we're now seeing things about open sales orders. We're now seeing that, oh, we have a delayed sales order and it is 6 days late. So front and center, this person gets to see that there is a problem with the sales order. From any of these buttons, tiles, and so on, you can drill in to get more information, regardless of whether we're talking about the invoices and money on the previous role center or this late sales order here. So drilling into this, I just clicked on the tile, pops up, tells me the sales orders for the School of Fine Art and so on. And I could drill in and see what else they ordered. Or over on the side here, I could notice a note that a coworker has put in. This is an internal note. I can see that they've talked to the customer, various things happened, they made some promises and so on. So very quick and easy to find out what's going on with, in this case, the late sales orders, details, and so on. As you're navigating through Business Central, I'm going to show you the inventory items screen so you get a feel for sort of what the screens look like, how to look at information, that type of thing. So this is our list of inventory items. You can see it in tile view like here. If you prefer to see it in a more like a list view or an Excel-like list, that certainly is possible. If you are familiar with Excel and you're used to doing things like sorting, filtering, works the same as it does in Excel. You're not going to have to learn any more navigation skills and so on. Similarly, if there is a Google-like search, let you quickly find all the chairs, that sort of stuff like that. So because Business Central is part of the Microsoft Office 365 suite, basically the tools that you're used to using are very easily accessible and so on. I can, for example, open an Excel with one click. So let's take a look at an item to see some more details about this item. I'm just going to jump into the first one here. So now that we're taking a look at this specific item, you can see there's a large amount of information we track about this item. I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but certainly at the end, I'll give you links if you want more information, have specific questions, of course. So various inventory information, costing, pricing, planning parameters, reorder points, that kind of stuff. Item tracking if you need lot or serial tracking. Lots of details there you can store it for the item. And same concept goes for customers, vendors, bills of material, anything else that is exists in Business Central. I do want to focus on these item attributes over here. This side of the screen, these are all the standard things that are built into Business Central. The attributes are under your control. You define what these attributes are, which types of items they apply to. For example, material description of wood might apply to tables, but not to some other items in your inventory. So Business Central lets you add item attributes, and of course you can filter by these, specific to your business's needs, so you can add additional information. And of course you've got attachments, links to websites, attach PDF spec, add comments like you saw in that sales order that was delayed, things like that. Certainly no trouble to do that. So we've got our list of inventory. We've also got a list of customers I'm not going to bother pulling up. Instead, I'm going to show you what it's like to do a transaction. So you get a chance to actually see some data entry, some live activity in Business Central. So we're going to make a new sales order. I could see my list of sales orders there. I could go to a customer and make a sales order for that customer, or there's a quick action here. Just going to go ahead and pick our first customer, and notice at the top of the screen, I got a notification. There's a large number of notifications in Business Central. You can turn them on or off based on what's right for you and your job. In this case, we're getting a notification about this customer has an overdue balance. I can drill in and see details. I can drill into the customer details here, various information and so on. Notifications would be things like this overdue balance, credit limits, don't have enough available inventory, that sort of things. Today, I'm just going to ignore this notification. If I knew the item, I'm just jumping down to entering the actual items. If I knew the item the customer ordered, I could type in the number. If I didn't know the item, I could type in the description and it would give me a nice, there's the desk and so on, and they want 10 of them. And I could continue this way, entering items manually on the sales order. Works fine. However, there's various shortcuts that are available in the sales order screen. For example, maybe the customer calls and says, give me the same thing I ordered last month. Or every week they give you a call, and it's worth setting up a shortcut so that you can quickly build the sales order for their regular weekly orders. So in this case, I've manually entered this one line down here. I'm going to pull in their standard order, which happens to have 2 additional lines on it, pulls in their standard items, and in the example I set up, it doesn't bring in a quantity, but I could go ahead and type that in. There's other ways of doing imports. I'm not going to try and cover them all in this first look, but the goal here, excuse me, the goal here is to make it easy for you to do sales order entry without having to manually type in everything. So I could continue doing this, and if I had to manually type in a large number of sales orders, if none of the import options worked for me, it certainly is possible to customize this sales order screen, or in fact, any screen in Business Central, so that I can make it as efficient as possible if I do need to spend a lot of time in the screen. Just give a second to personalize. So as personalized mode hops up, you can see that as I move around, there's various red highlights and so on. I could click on columns, rearrange them, hide them, add new columns that are not currently visible and so on. I'm not going to actually make any of those changes here, but this could be done to any screen in Business Central. If, for example, I did not want to see that tab over to the side, very quick sort of maneuvering around, I could drag this out into a separate browser window if needed. There's additional information that is visible, and you can take a look at it as you're entering a sales order. This info window over at the side will exist on all the transactional documents. I can see details about the customer. I can come down here and look at details of the sales order line that I'm on. I could see my current availability and so on. I can see, for example, that this item has no defined substitutions, but there's 2 sales prices active. And I could drill in here and see that this customer happens to get a volume discount if they buy a large enough quantity and so on. So I'm not going to go into the rest of the shipping process. It starts to get into, are you a make to stock, make to order business? And I'm just going to skip some of that. Instead, I'm going to hop back to the item and just talk about availability for a moment. We saw in the sales order that there's availability, and if in fact we had been low on this item, we would have gotten a notification for it. When I'm in the item card looking at stuff, I can see and drill into quite quickly additional information. For this item, we have so many in the building and we have 7 on purchase order, and I want to know when those are coming in. I could just click right here. It may not be visible in the recording, but that actually number was a different color and it drills right into, and I can see what date that stuff is expected to come in. From there, I could have navigated to the purchase order and seen more details. There also is additional availability information. I forgot to mention, but all those other numbers are highlighted as well. I could have drilled in and seen more of the stuff there. But there's a variety of availability screens that let you know what's going to happen with your inventory in the future. Are you going to be short this item? You may have enough inventory, but you have multiple sales orders out there. All of that sort of inventory data and availability is updated live. There's no sort of running a report, running a check, anything like that. You'll get notification immediately when you start to have a potential issue. At the end, later on in this presentation, I will show you some of the planning processes. Ordinarily, we would take that sales order and either shift from inventory or make something from it. I'm going to jump ahead a couple steps in the process. So I'm going to pretend that we've taken that sales order, filled in various details and so on. I am going to flip back to it because I just realized I forgot to show you one thing. So in this sales order, I would finish entering information. At a certain point, you would want to send it to the customer. This idea of emailing, in this case, the order confirmation, same thing works for things like invoices, purchase orders, and so on. This, of course, is because this is part of the Microsoft Office 365 suite. This integrates directly into Outlook or Office 365. This would show up nicely in your inbox, in your sent items, and so on. So we're about to send an email to this customer. I'm not going to actually click it and do it. The body of the email appears as a sample here. Of course, you can change it for a one-off situation. There also is an attached PDF, which would be the more printed version of the document. What I wanted to mention here is that this visual layout for the email body and for the printed attachment, you define those in Microsoft Word. No programming required, no report designer required. If you've ever done a mail merge in Microsoft Word, it's exactly the same concept. And you can tweak all the visual positioning, get it looking exactly right for your business and so on. Just so you have a chance to see one, I'm just going to do a quick preview of what that PDF attachment would look like. So in this case, this is the format that is customizable by you, and as you can see, it has all the required details. So now that you've seen sort of the inventory items, I've talked very briefly about the availability, you've seen entering a sales order. Let's go take a look at the manufacturing side. I'm going to switch role centers again to the production planner role center. This would be somebody who's more involved in activity on the floor. And I have gone all the way to the point of really creating a production order. That would be the end result of going through the normal planning and scheduling process. So I sort of jumped a few steps here. In this case, we are making this specific item. We're making 20 of them. We have scheduled it already. We're going to start at noon and finish at 4 and so on. Business Central supports various finite or infinite scheduling tools. And we have pulled in our standard production bill of materials for this item. This is our standard way of manufacturing it. We have a 2-step assembly process. The line's in bold, and each step uses up some multiple items, a seat base and some fabric and other sort of details here. This can be customized. You may be more customizing your orders based on customer needs and so on. So it'd certainly be possible to come in here and tweak number of items, add additional special instructions, stick in a standard substitution you've got based on availability. All those sorts of things are possible. So I'm going to jump right ahead to processing this. We are pretending this is going out to the floor. They've done their work. And we're currently doing manual transactions here. Business Central, of course, supports automatic backflashing of both material and labor in this. And I am going to accept most of these numbers, but I am going to tweak this one number. We did need 30 meters of fabric, but we had some defects in fabric and some mistakes were made, and we ended up using 40, for example. So quick change here to let this represent the real world. Going ahead and posting it. Posting in Business Central does an immediate update to your inventory and your financial systems. There's no separate update, end of day process, end of month, anything. You can see live what has happened with this. And in particular, if I come into the statistics for this production order, we can see that our expected cost on this production order was 2,900 and something, and our actual costs was 3,000 something. The extra fabric increased our material costs. This is immediately reflected in your financial system. So basically our production is done. I've given you just sort of a quick overview of the typical steps. There's a large number of options there. So I'll give you a link at the end for more information if you'd like to see more details on that. Now we used up some more of that green fabric than we were expecting to. I wonder if we need to buy any more. What we're going to take a look at is the planning process. This is your MRP, MPS, so material requirements planning process in Business Central. I happen to be running this just for the green fabric because I've set up a limited demo, but in real life there would be more examples here, of course. The same process here would also be used to take a sales order and generate suggested production orders. Here I'm just going to, ask it to do a calculation for everything that we need to buy for MRP, raw materials. In this case, it's saying we need to buy some green fabric, we need to buy 100 of this. This is based on the 40 that we just used, plus what's in inventory, based on order multiples and reorder points and stuff like that. It also, for the sales side of things, would include production demand forecasts and stuff like that as well. If I'm happy with this suggestion, I could certainly tweak differences, but if I'm happy with it, I would just accept it. This is making a purchase order automatically, and I would then continue reviewing other things. But now we have a purchase order created for that fabric, and we would then continue with sending it off to the vendor or possible approval processes or whatever the next step would be in your business. So we've taken a quick look at the overall sort of role center structure in Business Central. We've taken a look at the item information. We have entered a sales order, so you get a feel for what it's like to sort of enter transactions. We've taken a look at the manufacturing side and sort of what entering the result of manufacturing would be. And we've taken a brief look at the planning process in Business Central. I've certainly not tried to cover every area here, just wanted to give you sort of the first impressions, first look as to what using Business Central would be like. Remember, this has all been live in the software, demonstrations with real items, real sales orders, and so on. If you would like more information, please reach out to Modex Consulting. We'd be happy to assist you with an in-person demo that's been more customized to your business or any future questions you have. Email, website, and phone numbers available there. So please just reach out if there's any way we can assist in the future. Thank you for your time today. Talk to you later.